how people react to situations or how people behave. For example, when I was doing a workshop, one of the men, what I usually do with a workshop is I put all the cards, a lot of cards out with names of archetypes on, face down, and get everybody to pick one. And everybody, whatever they pick, everybody can always relate to that particular archetype in some way in their life. For example, one man picked trickster, and he was like, "Whew, a trickster, I don't like that." But then he said, "Well, actually, I suppose when I think about when I was in business, I was a trickster. Like, not so much conning people, but he was a salesman, and he could relate the trickster part to actually selling." There was another lady who got hedonist, and she was like, "Oh, I'm not this." But then when you look further into what a hedonist is, she said, "Well, actually, yeah, I suppose I am really." So everybody can relate to any archetype in whatever way, but there's certain, maybe up to 12 archetypes that are prominent throughout everybody's life. I've always been a caregiver, teacher, healer, mother figure. Even for friends, I've been a mother figure for friends as well as family. So yeah, it's getting people to recognise what the archetypes are, because a lot of people who've got a lot of problems are in the negative aspect of the archetypes, like the victim, where they're always a victim, the martyr, where they're always doing. Servant and martyr are very similar, so you could name maybe 6 archetypes, but they'll all have similarities. Like networker, for example, you could have a networker, broadcaster, presenter. They've all got aspects in common, and they're all to do with communication. So you can relate the archetypes right back to Greek mythology, if you like, where, say, Hermes the messenger would be what we could now call a networker, but we might have 6 or 7 different archetypes, whereas at one time there would be just like the messenger. Yeah, I just find it fascinating how people can see themselves in different ones, and it's knowing which ones are affecting them, and also how they can use them in particular situations. And once they've learnt that, it can change their life around.
So how do they go on about finding which archetype they are?
Through a series of questions, through talking about situations they've been in. Then I can sort of say, well, how they felt in these situations, and that's in general really how you get down, because what they will do is look at maybe 20, 30, 40 descriptions for different archetypes, and they can say, well, that's definitely not me, I'm never like that. You might get down to 20 and you think, well, yeah, I can see all of those in me, and then you just narrow it down then to the main ones. So.
And these relate back to the Greek then, these?
Well, it's not just the Greek, but you can look at fairy tales, you can look at mythology, you can look at films even, and you can see archetypes within film situations. It's like the Wizard of Oz, for example, Dorothy and the Wizard of Oz, who goes through all these different trials and tribulations, and it's different aspects of her personality, the Tin Man, the lion, and it's how she eventually gets the courage and the independence of herself, and it's a similar thing with the archetypes.
So it's working on yourself as a person.
It's
then?
working on yourself as a person, guided, obviously, because you can do it on your own, but obviously it's a lot more difficult. And if you've got someone who can say it, because when you're talking to people, or people are talking to you, for example, you can pick up things which the person themselves won't realise. So it's then giving them a plan, if you like, to move forward with their life.
How does that relate to life coaching then?
Well, it's basically the same thing in a lot of respects. Life coaching, I won't say I do life coaching, but I can point people on the right path, if you like, or help them to find what they should be doing, which I suppose nowadays is called life coaching, but it's done in a very different way using hypnotherapy and NLP, whereas I use my basic skills from that I've used over the years, which is helping people in a different way. But at the end of the day, you get the same results.